Tonight, live from the Hard Rock in South Florida, who will leave $1 million richer? Perhaps the most dominant female fighter the PFL has ever known, Kayla Harrison. Or can Ray Cooper avenge a 2018 loss in the most anticipated rematch in PFL history? Champion versus champion. And don't forget about a showcase of a future, perhaps PFL champion in Clarissa Shields. Just moments ago, fighters started to arrive. Blowing Radzhabov. He'll be fighting for the lightweight championship against Manfio. Oh, look at the nerves, so serious. And there's a reason for that. Then, only in the PFL do you have a man named Shoeface fighting for the light heavyweight championship against Martin Hamlet, a big man from Norway. 6 title fights, one night. The biggest night in all of MMA. Welcome to the PFL World Championship pre-fight show presented by DraftKings. What a night we have tonight. It all starts on ESPN Plus at the bottom of the hour, 4:30 p.m. Eastern time. And you've got to tune in there because we will crown not one, but two $1 million champions before we even get to ESPN2. Now, here are the odds, and that's the whole reason we are here. We're going to tell you how to bet these fights to make the numbers matter and to give you the best chance at cashing those tickets. Then we'll transition at 8 p.m. Eastern time over to ESPN2. And that's where we see Kayla Harrison in the main event taking on Taylor Guardado. Then 4 of those 5 fights will be for $1 million and the title. Then Clarissa Shields, you see her there, a -225 favorite in a showcase fight over Abigail Mates. And with that, I say welcome into the pre-fight show for the 2021 PFL World Championships, as always brought to you by DraftKings. I am the coach and my partner all year long, ESPN analyst for MMA, of course, Mr. Ian Parker. Now, Ian, before we get into any picks, before we get into anything specific, tonight's a very different night because these championship fights, they're not 3 rounds like every fight in the regular season and the playoffs have been. No. These are 5-round fights. How does that change how you handicap and make the picks tonight?
It's going to change everything, Coach. We started off at the beginning of the season where points mattered, finishing mattered. Then we got on to the playoffs where it was all about winning, still within the 3 rounds. It didn't have to be a finish. You wanted to conserve, be healthy, and win. Now, 5 rounds. Guys that were fading, cardio might have been an issue in the earlier fights. Even in the playoffs, they're going to be tested. That is going to matter. So for the guys that cardio has not been an issue, huge advantage, and you need to look at that when you're placing your bets tonight.
All right, well, hopefully you're paying attention to the course of the next 20 to 25 minutes right here on the pre-fight show. So let's start right at the top. The main event, Kayla Harrison, perhaps the most dominant MMA female fighter that we've ever seen, certainly in the PFL. She's a former Olympic champion. She's already a champion here. This one's for the lightweight championship for the women. She's also doing all of this as a single mother. On the other side, Taylor Guardado, looking to shock the world under the brightest of lights. But Kayla Harrison, she's been a dominant champion, a dominant performer for a reason. First night, -2,000, lock it in. 3,500, 4,000 for her playoff fight. Then tonight, she's a -4,000 favorite if you want to bet her straight up against Taylor Guardado. Before we get into your pick, is there any pressure whatsoever when you're a -4,000 favorite on Kayla Harrison?
Well, there's pressure for Kayla, whether it's -2,000, 1,000. For Kayla Harrison, it seems like everyone always expects greatness and perfection and to be the face of the PFL. And in all aspects of life, Kayla just wants to be the way she treats fighting, and that's dominant. I believe that's what she does tonight. She has proven to everybody what she can do. And for Kayla Harrison, she just has to keep being her same dominant self. I call her the juggernaut for a reason. She runs through her opponents. She does exactly what she's going to do. She said this was her coronation, and I 100% believe her, Coach.
But, you know, Ian, we can't bet it at -4,000, so that means right here from the jump, it's time for Parker's Prop Bet, brought to you by DraftKings Sportsbook. Now, -4,000 straight, still -1,600 to finish. Remember, this is a 5-round fight. We can't bet either one of those. So what do we do? Ian, talk to me.
We are going to go right back to that prop well, Coach. We did it in the first 3 fights for Kayla. Now, in the first one, And in the third one, where she won by KO and TKO, I think she's kind of getting into the habit here of really wanting to punish her opponents and finish that way. We all know she could submit someone, but I think she gets it done the same way she did against Jenna Fabian at -120 to win by KO or TKO.
Now, Ian, Kayla Harrison has been very vocal on PFL broadcasts in the course of the year that she was sick and tired of people coming in and thinking they could play MMA, that they could be the biggest female name in fighting. So on the other side of the coin tonight, that female, that woman that Kayla Harrison was talking about, of course, she calls herself the GOAT, Claressa Shields, one of the greatest women's boxers of all time. She's in a showcase bout on ESPN2 against Abigail Montez. Now, Abigail, she's only 21 years old. She started MMA at 14 years of age. But Claressa is north of -200. So, Ian, how do we bet this showcase fight?
For Claressa Shields, her last fight, she did, I think, what everyone wanted to see. She overcame adversity against a grappler, and when she was able to, she never gave up, which was impressive, did not get submitted, and she won by TKO and still finished the fight. I think in this fight, we're going to see something similar, as she is fighting an opponent with lesser grappling skills who likes to stand, and that is the perfect recipe for disaster in fighting Claressa Shields. So for us, Claressa Shields, the GOAT, to win by TKO or KO at -110 is exactly where we're going to go here with our prop.
I love that number, -110. Let's flip the script now. I want to go to the most anticipated rematch in the history of the PFL. Champion versus champion. 2018 against 2019. Ray Cooper against Magomed Karamov. This is for the welterweight championship and that $1 million prize. Now, we can't forget that when these two met back in 2018, it was Magomed who pulled it off with a choke. But then the next year, Ray Cooper won the title, but Magomed was on the shelf with an injury. When you look at their comparisons, look at the win streaks. They're both on a significant win streak. But Ian, tonight, somebody's got to lose. Who's it going to be?
Well, let's start off with what Ray Cooper has done since, to your point, Coach, losing to Magomed Karamov, winning the championship, and his most recent win, in my opinion, was the most impressive of his career over Rory McDonald. He showed he wasn't just a man who threw with reckless abandonment, and that he's not just full of power. His wrestling was there. Position over submission. He was smart. The IQ was there. However, I think he's fighting his kryptonite in Magomed Karamov. Karamov does not make mistakes. He does not get emotional. He uses that jab. He stays at range. He'll stay away from Ray Cooper's power, and it wouldn't surprise me if Magomed Karamov wrestled Ray Cooper and put him on his back. I believe he gets it done again, and by decision, and Coach, you're going to like this one, at +200 to get it done.
I don't like it. I love it.
Love it.
You use the word emotion. I got a little bit of a tear down the side of my face when you kept saying Magomed's name correctly, and you don't make me have to do it. So thank you very much. Now, I am not a math major, Ian Parker, but I know that's 3 straight prop bets that you've given me. Now, there's some people at home that are novice bettors. They like it straight. They like it easy. They like it simple. I know that you have found me a fight right here. Khybulaev taking on Chris Wade. Now, before we get to the pick, Khybulaev, for people out there who don't know, he trains with Khabib, perhaps the greatest MMA fighter of all time. How much of an advantage does that give to Khybulaev?
Oh, I think it gives a huge advantage when you have someone to really look up to in Khabib Nurmagomedov. You have a guy who finished his career, which I don't know how many people have done, as the champ and undefeated. Someone, Khabib, who does not let the outside interference come in. He sticks to a game plan. He does not let opponents change how he fights. He makes opponents change how they fight because of his style. And we've seen Khybulaev pretty much perfect that so far in his career. Someone in Khybulaev, which is also, as we saw, he really dominated Lance Palmer, Coach, which I thought was really impressive in his run to the finals so far this year.
Yeah, if there's one man, though, on the other side that is not scared, that has the confidence, it's Chris Wade. Let me read you a quote. He says, quote, "My MMA mentality is this: you have to kill me to get me out of there, or else I'm going to find a way to break him." Ian, my question is this: does Chris Wade find a way to break his opponent?
Well, it's an interesting choice of a quote because he's literally fighting someone with the nickname The Killer in Khybulaev. I think for Chris Wade, he has to fight the way he did against Bubba Jenkins. He's got to be constantly on the gas pedal, forward pressure. He's got to wrestle. He's got to have position. He's got to throw knees when he's against the cage. However, I just think Khybulaev is the better wrestler. I don't think cardio will be an issue for him, and I think he's the better striker. So if Wade cannot get this fight to the floor and be on top and control within the first few rounds, I think Khybulaev finally hits his destiny and wins the championship. And at minus 190, for all those novice bettors, Coach, this will be our straight play for Movlid Khybulaev.
Yeah, I know you're a man of the people. You want to give the people what they want. That's who Ian Parker is. A reminder, that's the first fight on the ESPN2 card, and it is for the featherweight championship. Now, another thing that you love, and people have been watching us all year, you love an underdog. You love to pick an underdog. So I went to this fight. This will be the last fight on ESPN Plus for the light heavyweight championship. Shoeface on one side taking on the big man from Norway, Martin Hamlet. How do you handicap this one, Ian Parker?
Well, we said in the beginning of the season that Martin Hamlet was going to be the dark horse of this division. Even though it's early in his MMA career overall, we just said that his style, his physicality could cause problems in this division, and so far it's been just that. He's fighting someone in Antonio Carlos Jr., a.k.a. Shoeface, one of the best nicknames in the history of the sport, who is excellent on the ground off his back, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt. Also a good striker, has a very good left hook. However, he's not a pressure fighter. He tends to wait. He sits on his back foot, and he looks for the counter, and we've seen cardio be an issue for him sometimes. I think styles make fights, and I think for Martin Hamlet, he will probably bull rush Shoeface, take him to the ground, and for Hamlet to be on top, he can grind it out. I think his power and his wrestling, the way his hips are, his angles, will be able to neutralize the ground game of Shoeface. That's going to be our underdog of the night, the dark horse at plus 155, Martin Hamlet.
All right, so let's go from the big boys, the light heavyweights, to the bigger boys, and I'm talking about the heavyweights. Now, this is a rematch from this year's regular season. This is very, very rare that Ante D'Elia would make it through after a knockout loss. I want to flash back, Ian, because Bruno Cappelozza didn't even take him 60 seconds to finish this fight earlier this year.
Look, Bruno Cappelozza took a few shots on the chin, and all of a sudden it got him angry and more angry, and then eventually he put Ante D'Elia to sleep. And that's all we've seen out of Bruno Cappelozza. He is not letting anyone touch him since. He has run through the competition, and tonight, I think he does the same thing here. He's got to keep the fight standing. We saw Ante D'Elia in his last fight as another underdog against Goltsov, where he was able to out-wrestle, keep position on top, and was able to get a victory. If he can do that, maybe pulls off the upset. However, I think Cappelozza's speed, his takedown defense we saw in his last fight was excellent, and that power in his striking, he's going to have the advantage there. Bruno Cappelozza to win by TKO at minus 135. That's where I'm rolling with, Coach.
Yeah, it's hard to think that there's going to be a different game script, as we like to say, in this one as opposed to what we saw earlier this year. So I like that pick to have the exact same thing happen tonight. Now, I mentioned we have 6 $1 million championship fights tonight. The first one, the very first one, will be on ESPN Plus for the lightweight championship. We know they're in the building. We saw them arrive. Radzhabov taking on Manfio, the number 1 seed, taking on the number 3 seed. And when you look at this one, Ian Parker, and this is the first fight, we know the nerves are going to be there. We're going to hear Lillian say, this is for a $1 million. Now, nerves, but this could be a banger. What do you think?
These guys don't show the nerves on their face. And look, for Manfio, look where he came from as an alternate. Then he beats Pettis. Then he beats Clay Collard. Wasn't expected to win either one of those fights, and now he's here fighting for the $1 million. However, again, styles make fights. Radzhabov, in my opinion, has the style to get this done. He comes forward, and Manfio, I think, is another type of fighter that waits too much on the counter, and we've seen him as a slow starter. Not out of Radzhabov, though. He comes forward right away, whether it's wrestling, striking, and he has the power to finish a fight. Manfio has showed us he's got a chin made of cement. He doesn't go down so easily. So for me, it's Radzhabov by decision again, Coach. And I know you love this. Plus 110, that plus money all night long. That's where we're going.
You know, the one thing I also love is when people don't change. When we started, you were just me and you on PFL. You're now full-time at ESPN. Congratulations. But that means you got to give more people what they want. Now, with that being said, I need a Parker's parlay. I need to put 3 names together that when I put them together, I see a number that I can chew on, that I can play. I know you've got something for me. Give it to me.
Oh, I'm going to give it to you, Coach. The first one is we're going to start off with is the killer, Khybulaev. Again, the straight pick was at -190. However, I'm very confident styles make fights. I think this is a good matchup for him. He's the first leg of that parlay. Moving on to number 2, your favorite name in the history of this sport, Magomedov. Again, look at that straight line, really high. We're going to bring it down, put it into the parlay to give us that plus odds. He is number 2. And last but not least, the Wrecking Machine. Whether that's his nickname or not, I'm calling him that. Bruno Capelloza to get it done again over Ante D'Elia to round up this parlay. And Coach, plus 246 will be the odds on this parlay. Let's have a night.
I am ready to have a night. I'm also ready to have a little recap. So grab your paper, grab your pencil. Here is the recap courtesy of Ian Parker, and it's going to look absolutely glorious. Here we go. Now, Kayla Harrison, we brought it all the way down to -120 by KO or TKO. Then Magomed, plus 200 to win by decision. That's going to be a 5-round banger. Then Clarissa Shields in the showcase on ESPN2. We're going -110 to also win by KO or TKO. Change, and this is what we have next. How about Loic Radzhabov to win by decision, plus 110. Then Martin Hamlet, he's our underdog pick of the night at plus 155 to win his light heavyweight championship and the $1 million. Then Khybulaev, we're going to go straight, -190 to win. And then Bruno Capelloza, you saw his 46-second knockout. We believe the same thing will happen again. We're playing him to win by KO or TKO. And then you see Parker's parlay there at the end, plus 246 when you put Capelloza, Magomed, and Khybulaev together in a parlay. Now, tonight, only MMA fans can play in a free PFL championship pool on DraftKings for a shot at $5,000 in prizes. Just download the DraftKings app, sign up with promo code PFL, and submit your picks to compete for $5,000 in prizes. And no, Ian Parker is not eligible. You don't have to play against him. I promise you that. All right, a recap of the entire fight card tonight, which starts at the bottom of the hour. 4:30 Eastern. There you see 2 title fights for $1 million at the top. Radzhabov, Manfio, and then you see Carlos Jr. Shoeface taking on Martin Hamlet. Then on ESPN2 at 8 p.m. Eastern time, 4 $1 million championship fights, and also Clarissa Shields in her showcase fight against Abigail Montez. We have set the table. Who's going to eat? Who's going to win the $1 million prizes? By the end of the night, we'll have 6 different fighters whose lives will change forever. Ian and I will be there all night long to walk you through all the bets. Ladies and gentlemen, enjoy the 2021 PFL World Championships, which start at the bottom of the hour. Enjoy.
Tonight, the baddest fight mob ever is coming for the championship bling.